Vanderbilt and LSU this weekend, two teams with a loss in the SEC, both trying to write their path to an SEC championship. Yes, Vandy SEC championship game is in the discussion here. When you preview and you look at this LSU versus Vanderbilt matchup, Joe, how do you see it going down?
Vanderbilt is a 2.5-point favorite on FanDuel at home for this game. Incredibly important for LSU as they need to bounce back. There's two things on both sides that have my attention. What we saw was LSU's worst defensive performance this year was the way that they played against Trinidad Chambliss. Now, it was kind of the situation, the circumstance of the defense being on the field so long because the offense was not performing and not finishing drives. But does that inability to slow down a mobile quarterback catch up to them against Diego Pavia? On the flip side of things, the worst game that we got from Vanderbilt, it was a game that they played on which Diego Pavia was bottled up, that they did a tremendous job of eliminating him as a rushing attack when he played against Alabama. So I say that to bring up that does this LSU defense have the facilities and the athletes to completely shut him down as a runner, as Brian Kelly talked about leading into this week? And do they force him to be a passer just like Alabama did? If they can accomplish that, it's a win for LSU, and the inverse applies here for Vanderbilt winning the game.
I have a lot more confidence that they can do it after what they did to Lenore Sellers. Diego Pavia is not the athlete of Lenore Sellers, and he had 22 carries and 19 yards. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Now, they did have the long run. Joe did South Carolina, and I do think clearly that South Carolina is not better than Vandy. We saw that on the field, even though Lenore Sellers went out. I will remind people, South Carolina was up 14-7 on Vanderbilt when Lenore Sellers went out of that game. And by the way, they were driving. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But I think the Ole Miss situation's a little bit different when you're on the field in the first half for 50 plays. I think Baker didn't send his defense because he was like, bro, they're gassed. If I keep blitzing them, we're going to be out of here. Like, I can't keep doing that. And the way that they bottlenecked Sellers and made him sit in the pocket and throw the football was absolutely insane. By the way, LSU's number one in the country in getting pressure after quarterbacks without blitzing. Their main thing, though, Joe, is blitzing. 70% of the time in pass pro, they are getting to the quarterback and generating pressures without blitzing. They haven't gotten home yet. Patrick Payton, it's being missed around the country because he doesn't have the sacks. Joe, he is a havoc machine, is Patrick Payton. He's not getting home. I think that starts changing. But you are correct. Can they bottleneck Pavia like Alabama did in the second half and make him throw the football? Joe, you have arguably one of the best secondaries in the country with what you had in Tamarcus Cooley, A.J. Halsey, DJ Pickett, the number one corner coming in as a freshman in the country, P.J. Woodland rotating in there with him, who's been doing some really good things. And, Joe, man, why are teams still throwing at Mansour Delane?
Great question.
Why? I don't know. Look, you can say it's biased. I will just say he's one of the top three corners. I think he might, and I don't think he's at 3 or 2.
I think he's the best corner in college football right now. Until Jamal McCoy comes back, he's the best corner in college football.
I think he might be the best corner in college football right now. You got to man up and stop Pavia and put everybody in there, contain them, contain this run game. If you're LSU, and make Diego Pavia throw it all over you. Joe, they can't. LSU's biggest strength this week, without a doubt, it's not even a debate for me. They can't run with these corners on the boundary. Won't happen. You got to man up and lock them down and keep Pavia in the pocket. I'm bullish on what LSU can do here defensively. Now, they're going to 3 yards in a cloud of dust you. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to do what they did to Alabama unless you start forcing this. The problem in the inverse of this for LSU, Joe, I said it on AYS, I'll say it here. When's Garrett Nussmeier going to start making better decisions? Because he's got 24 interceptions in his career at LSU. And I've taken a lot of heat this week in reference to this. And in SEC games, he has 17 total turnover or 17 total interceptions, whether it be starts or not. That's got to stop. Joe, they got to the 1 yard line twice and got 6 points. They had to kick field goals. it gave me a little bit of hope saying that he was a little bit healthier. But, brother, if he keeps turning the ball over, it's not going to matter. You go on the road this week and you keep turning the ball over, you're going to get beat. And it's about time LSU fans get on board with that and start seeing the facts about this situation. Joe, I did think LSU ran the football better, and it's going to be interesting. When I've watched this Vanderbilt team over the last couple of days and even the last couple of weeks, the interesting thing for me is not only are they 36th in the country in scoring defense, they're only giving up 20 points per game. Joe, they're 16th in the country in run defense. Can LSU, who found a little bit of a running game last week versus South Carolina on the counter runs, the power runs, the split zones, can they start getting that running game a little bit more consistent like they found last week? And if they can do that and start taking some of this pressure off of Garrett Nussmeier, maybe they'll be able to find something here.
Right. You definitely need to have better performances from Nussmeier and also from the offensive line. It's been something that's been weighing down LSU's offensive production, is that there's not been consistency in the guys in the lineup, and there's not been consistency just from the overall play of the group. It has probably been one of the most disappointing things, knowing coming into the season, it was the largest question mark was how were you going to respond to putting Emory Jones and Will Campbell into the NFL? And clearly they were not effectively equipped to bounce back from losing guys of that caliber. I do think, as you mentioned here.
Yeah, and the portal didn't help them, losing Lance Hurd.
No.
Right.
Absolutely not. I think that where there is a little bit of saving grace for LSU's sake, and why maybe you could feel a little bit more optimistic, but Nussmeier has to be the one to take advantage of this. This does not mean that there is a complete, utter handout. We have talked about in the past, we talked about this leading into the Alabama game, is that Vanderbilt's secondary, it's not good. It's very porous. They give up, not only do they give up a lot of yards, but they give up a lot of big plays. They're 107th in EPA per dropback. They're giving up a ton of efficiency to opposing quarterbacks. So maybe this is the opportunity where they start to feel, and Garrett Nussmeier starts to feel a little bit more confident taking shots, connecting with Trey'Dez Green, connecting with all of these options that have not been as productive as I think many people hope that they would be. What creates the biggest daunting challenge is that their run defense is phenomenal. Vanderbilt's run defense has been one of the best in the country, and you're already having so many problems getting any push up front. So with your offensive line struggling to create lanes and your running backs not finding any space to operate, I think that to me would be the biggest spot to be worried about. You should approach this like Alabama did going into the game. Be aggressive downfield, have complete and utter disregard for risk. I think that you just need to just go and attack, and then eventually, hopefully, your run game opens up like Alabama had happen.
You're 1,000% spot on. I went back and watched the Virginia Tech game, all of the Virginia Tech game today versus Vandy. What did Kyron Drones do before Vandy took over? Boy, he attacked that boundary. Boy, did he attack. Virginia Tech, you better start getting that ball to Trey'Dez Green. I mean, last week, Joe, I've had a bullish take on him. I think that when it's all said and done, he's going to wear a gold jacket. It's probably one of my hottest.
He's a damn good player. I don't think that's a hot take.
He's a freak.
Dude, and this isn't like me trying to take a dig at LSU or anything, but like imagine if he was on Alabama on a team, or at like Oregon, or if he was at Indiana, a team with a really good quarterback that would
legitimately be in a Heisman Trophy conversation.
He would be Kyle Pitts. That's what he is. He's Kyle Pitts. That's what he looks like.
I think he's more athletic. I mean,
he's bigger than him. He's bigger than him.
Before you say he's not, I mean, again, you're talking about a kid who, against a Final Four team, blocked a 3-point shot, went down the court and dunked it in a top 5 pick's face. Again, he's a freak. They found him last week. And to Garrett's credit, he found him. I thought that this offensive staff, Joe, for what it's worth, for LSU, legitimately probably had their best called game in the Joe Sloan era. Can they repeat it? For Vanderbilt, brother, you gotta get after Garrett. You gotta send a lot of pressure. So we talked a lot about LSU here. You gotta send pressure after 18 and make him make mistakes. You gotta attack this. If you want to beat LSU, you gotta attack this offensive line. And Joe, with all of the players that Vanderbilt has and all the experience, they've played so fundamentally sound. I don't think they have like exceptionally great athletes. What they do, I do think their safety room's a little bit better than maybe what you and I give them credit for. Their boundary corners, not so much. Mm-hmm. But when I look at them, brother, their linebacking play has been great. If you put pressure on Garrett, you'll force him to make bad decisions, and that's where you get this game going. I do worry about this defense for one thing. I thought that Ole Miss gave them not so much Diego Pavia running, because I think we saw that they can contain a guy that can run like Lenore Sellers. All of the misdirection that they will throw at you worries me. Like the triple option, the spread triple option stuff, being out of lanes. You're playing with a couple of instances where you're doing some zone read RPO stuff in the flat for Ole Miss, and it's getting converted, and you're out of place, you're out of position. I'm not saying this defense worries me. It's not what I'm saying. But they're coming out of a bye week. And what I wonder is, what have they worked on and what are they going to show you that has not been on film? And if they come out and punch you in the mouth early, can this LSU offense respond to it? So, Joe, I hate to say it like this, but Vandy has a legitimate shot here, more than a legitimate shot.
Yeah.
So the worry on defense is not so much what they're going to do to be able to contain, but you start getting down 10, 13 points. I don't know if LSU and offensively has the pulse to respond to it. They haven't. They showed last week that they can do it, and they should have blown out South Carolina. And our thoughts would have been a lot different. But can you do it? The thing around LSU this week has been, oh, man, well, we did this, and this, but you didn't. The reality of it is that you didn't. So can you do it will be the question.
I think that the biggest thing for the Vanderbilt side is you got to start hot. You got to, like what you're talking about there, you have to, if you potentially establish a 14-point lead in the first half or by the third quarter, as you just talked about there, LSU has not shown an ability, despite having the athletes to play catch up. They just can't. They do not score effectively enough, explosively enough at the current moment. I think Vanderbilt's other biggest key in this game, got to get Alexander going early more, man.
Don't get away from him like you did against Bama.
That is the biggest thing for me that we talked about on the recap of the Vanderbilt-Alabama game is why did they get away from him? And I know a lot of their concepts are based on the decision-making of Diego Pavia. They need to be more direct. There's someone who said this specifically about Notre Dame with Jeremiah Love. They ran a lot of RPOs against Miami, and it didn't freaking work. And they decided to be a little bit more deliberate about keeping the ball in the hands of Jeremiah Love. Same thing happens here. Alexander is one of the most underrated running backs in the SEC, and he needs to get 15-plus touches because if you get him going on the ground, that is going to then start to open everything else up.
How does LSU react to a team that can perfect 3 yards in a cloud of dust? Mm-hmm. The biggest thing, and I'll talk about this a lot tonight, I know we don't go into these massive of details. Joe, the number one team in the SEC on third down offensively, Vanderbilt. The number 2 team in the country on third down, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they'll 3 yards in a cloud of dust you, and they'll be number 1 in time of possession. Oh, wait. Outside of a service academy, guess who's the number 1 team in time of possession the last 3 weeks?
Vanderbilt. Well, did you know Navy's undefeated? Again, I didn't even know that.
I did. The only reason I knew that is because I saw time of possession. I saw rushing stats, and they were like 309 or 336 or 390, whatever it was. I was like, all right. So, but yes, I did notice that. Mm-hmm. This sidebar: does Notre Dame play Navy this year?
Yeah, so Notre Dame has another backdoor opportunity to get another ranked win. They're about to get to pull their normal BS. Oh, well, look, Navy's 25th. Oh, yeah, no, Notre Dame's absolutely going to get
We're not doing that anymore.
We're previewing that game.
Well, we can, but we're not considering that a ranked win. I do worry. Can you get off the field on third down? Because this team can 3 yards in a cloud of dust you. What do they show you? And what I think Diego Pavia played so freaking bad against Bama that he's going to come out and be a lot better, a lot cleaner. It's going to be interesting, man. I think there's a reason clearly that LSU's not favored here. Fans didn't expect it, but this is a good Vandy team. This isn't your run-of-the-mill, clearly Vandy team.
No, and I think one thing that I found interesting from some of the articles I was reading, it kind of framed it really interestingly. Vanderbilt's not the same way in the sense where they can sneak up on somebody, and we've brought this up before. The present challenge in front of you is visible, and I think that now that teams are more equipped to fight with them, it allows for a team like LSU to be better prepared. I don't think that they're going to overlook them. Yeah, they better be. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. It is the type of a loss that can derail a season and can absolutely change the mentality of the fan base, change the mentality of the roster. LSU, this is one of the most must-win games, and it's insane if I had told you 4 years ago that LSU's game against Vanderbilt would be deciding the fate of their season.
Then you would have been Blake Ruffino 9 weeks ago.
So you made that statement.
I said I thought you would have lost a game by the time you got to Vandy or A&M, and your season would be on the line before you went to Bama. Yes.
Makes sense.
I mean, Joe, we went to 17 practices. You knew this offense was going to have trouble. I mean, because listen, Vandy didn't really play anybody, and you knew that they were probably going to lose to Bama.
Right.
So, I mean, you just got to a point where, yeah, I mean, and look, if you're LSU, you got game day and all this on the line for A&M, one of your bitter rivals. By the way, a permanent opponent of yours. You going to let them clown you? I don't know. That's up to you.